This is my capstone research project titled Eating Lunch and Hanging Out by Frank Devnito. The premise is teacher-student relationships outside the classroom and its impact upon student performance in the classroom. A big problem is national test scores are level or even declining, so nearly $40 billion is allocated annually for education. People are tired of wasting tax dollars and time. Scores from 2015 were lower than they were in 2013. In fact, barely one-third of 4th and 8th grade students were considered proficient in math, and just under one-third of both age groups were proficient in reading. It is also embarrassing the United States is doing so poorly compared to other nations. In the Worldwide Program for International Student Assessment in 2015, the United States finished 38 out of 71 countries in math and 24th in both science and reading, finished behind small countries like Estonia and Slovenia. There are many possible reasons for this dilemma. Some cite a lack of morality removed from public school systems, claiming a statistical correlation to increased suicide, homicide, sexually transmitted diseases, drug usage, and violent crime amongst teenagers. Teachers complain student discipline is their biggest problem. Some claim teachers are overworked and underpaid. There is a nationwide shortage of teachers, lack of state funding, and ever-changing certification standards. The government is also changing test standards every couple of years and have now tied teacher evaluations and employment to student performance. There is also a lack of parental engagement. Too many do not attend school functions such as parent-teacher conferences and school orientation and fail to help their child at home. Many students cite lack of motivation by the teacher and themselves because teachers seem to do the same thing all the time, such as seating arrangements, the same types of assignments, whole group lessons, and rote memorization just enough for tests. High school dropout rate, although high, has fallen in the last few years. The biggest reasons for dropping out cited by teenagers are boredom, information is not relevant to the real world, and nobody cares if they show up or not anyway. There are no easy solutions to these potential problems, but if nothing is done, our students, our communities, society as a whole, and our nation's future are at stake. First and foremost, our primary line of defense right now, in many cases, is the teacher-student relationship. What we're going to see is if this teacher-student relationship has a positive impact on student performance. Detachment theory was first proposed in the 1950s by John Bowlby. His work initially focused on long-term relationships between people, particularly a parent and child. He concluded this attachment potential is always present in children. It is an emotional bonding connecting one person to another, even if the attachment or feelings are not reciprocated. This is evident in children who are emotionally starved and who will cling to anyone, including an abusive parent. In his research lie elsewhere, but the high rate of infant death in hospitals, research on the imprinting of birds, and studies involving primate infants, particularly rhesus monkeys, drew Bowlby in a different direction. His work was influenced by Conrad Lorenz, who did bird imprinting, and Harry Harlow, who studied primates. All three believed infants had a strong need for maternal care that affected future development. Precursors to Bowlby's research included massive immigration during the 19th and early 20th century. Millions of immigrants from all over the world came to the United States to live, but they brought with them infectious diseases such as smallpox, typhoid, malaria, and others. Children were most susceptible to these diseases. Sigmund Freud, the leading psychologist of his day, believed affection between a parent and child led to increase in infectious diseases and caused them to become too needy. He felt displays of affection were inappropriate and should be stopped. He also believed delayed gratification of needs was best. These two issues caused hospitals to isolate infants from workers and parents. Death from diseases declined sharply, but mortality, over 50%, soared due to emotional distress. This condition caused hospitalism was fatal to infants if they were His writings reflected a strong reliance and connection to Freud. In his 1983 work, Attachment and Loss, Volumes 1 and 2, Bowlby wrote in Freud's views and adopted them in his book. Charles Darwin affected him on 2 points. Natural selection via facial expressions was responsible for the bond between infants and mothers who provided protection from the predators. Secondly, man and animals were related because animals had experiences and emotions the same as people. He believed that grief in infants was similar to animals and was needed to create new unions and relationships. Konrad Lorenz was responsible for the imprinting of birds, specifically geese. He also believed in natural selection and that imprinting gave an organism the greatest chance of survival. Finally, Harry Harlow, in his study of rhesus monkeys, initially kept them isolated to prevent disease, but found that the infants responded like humans. These infant rhesus monkeys responded to warm clothing and cuddling more than they did to food. He and Bowlby exchanged research notes, reviewed each other's work, corresponded, and visited each other over the years. They also referenced each other's work in their studies. The attachment theory has been around for several decades, but in the 1980s it was being introduced into education. They believed that a strong teacher-student relationship would improve the students' well-being socially, mentally, emotionally, and also academic performance. They believed students would feel safe and secure in order to learn. They noticed there were fewer behavioral problems, students tended to rise to the teacher's expectations, and provided more learning opportunities. It was also shown that a strong teacher-student relationship was critical in younger years, both in quantity and quality. But it was also influenced by child's relationship, good or bad, with the parent or guardian. It also affected math and reading achievement and increased motivation and provided secure peer relationships. Few studies in the teacher-student relationship have been done for middle school and high school due to a number of reasons such as family dynamics, social standing amongst peers, puberty, increased responsibility, and other stressors. Also, students wonder if they want to do the work and can they do the work. However, negative teacher-student relationships have shown a higher increase in negative outcomes such as delinquency, violence, teenage pregnancies, and other issues. In high school, a strong teacher-student relationship still affects academics and personal growth, but not near as much as they are more independent and prefer peer relationships. Sadly, most of the data that has been done is at least 20 years old, and very little has been done to define what a positive teacher-student relationship is, how it is developed, its components, and how to maintain it. My initial research deals with the following 2 questions. What is the relationship, if any, between the amount of time teachers and students spend eating lunch together and students' academic performance? Secondly, do teachers eating lunch with students have a greater impact, if any, on elementary, middle, or high school student academic performance than those who do not? Research over the past 4 decades shows that the teacher-student relationship is critical to student success. There's always been focused on activities in the classroom. It has never been about activities or events or on-site school interaction outside the classroom. The expected data collection was supposed to start at the beginning of the school year. To the end of the school year, one, so the school grades would be baselined at 0, and also to capture data for a longer period of time. Candidates could be any grade level. I wanted to focus on 3rd grade, but due to circumstances beyond my control, I decided to work with 8th grade students. Schedules are to be established before school started to reduce teacher-student interruptions, improve data reliability and validity, and also allow the school administration, school board, and parents to be briefed ahead of time and to establish when teachers would eat lunch with students during the same day of the week to reduce inconsistencies. Resources included video recorders, journals, permission slips, security measures, and weekly interview forms. Teachers were required to record grades as normal and to eat lunch with students 1 to 2 times a week. Documentation included interviews, journals, and video recording. And also, meetings would include talking about data collection procedures and was the right data being collected, and 5 students per month would be the randomly interviewed. The quantitative data consisted of the start and end grades for each student during the 6-week period. There were 70 8th grade students in 5 different classes. Some of the issues were the research started in the 3rd quarter of the school year, textbooks had not been used in weeks, and grades had been overinflated since the beginning of the semester. The data was somewhat unreliable and valid. The qualitative data was totally unorthodox and unexpected. There were letters and notes from the students to the teacher. There were also letters of recommendation from the school staff to the teacher's university. There were other teachers telling this particular teacher some of the comments students had shared with them. There was also greater participation in the classroom. Homework was being turned in on time. Parents were catching the students in chance encounters in town. And it was interesting watching students find to teach a lesson. And also students began to self-correct their own behavior. Quantitative data of the 70 students showed that 19% showed improvement, 6% remained the same, and 75% regressed. Based on this data alone, the teacher-student relationship had no effect whatsoever. However, looking at the qualitative data, the exact opposite was evident. There was greater motivation, student engagement, homework was being turned in along with other factors. However, taken together, one must look at circumstances such as the short research time frame, grades already established, end of the school year, inadequate teaching, testing, and grading methods by the previous teacher, lack of math knowledge of the students, and many other factors. Due to a shortened research time, the data is unreliable and invalid, and further research cannot be justified. Although the attachment theory was originally designed for the world of psychology, it spilled over into the teacher-student relationship in education several decades ago. This is evident because many students now get the validation from the teacher during this relationship, and has shown academic performance has improved. Also, research on the brain has provided greater support to the teacher-student relationship data. It has shown that the stronger and better the teacher-student relationship at an earlier age, the greater the impact on a student's entire school experience. However, the research being done arrives too slowly to be of any good, too broad in scope to be effective. Generally recommend more research be done, which means lost time for student support and more taxes for the taxpayer, and it is not translated into effective skills for teachers. Due to family breakdowns, parental disengagement, the crumbling of society, nationwide academic scores being in decline, and government whims affecting educational processes, the teacher-student relationship is even more critical today. However, in all the years of research that Lorenz, Bowlby, and Harlow conducted, their research failed to note that human beings have intrinsic value because they bear the image of God and are worthy of respect. As a parent, I cannot do anything about most of the things that have been discussed or researched, but I can affect a good relationship with my own children